It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday, March 7th. And this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful and awesome Tuesday? We've got current news from around the world, the practical word study, and also Provi in the media. All right, everyone, how are you doing today? Yes, it is Tuesday. Monday is in the books, and I hope that you guys had an amazing and awesome Monday. It's been a rough weekend. Yes, it has been. But I hope that you guys are enjoying your week thus far. Really thankful that you guys have joined us here on the Morning Star Drive. So keep liking, keep commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Let's make a community, build a community, make sure that we can communicate and talk to each other as much as we can, all right? So let's start off first. Guys, don't forget, Q&A Thursday is just a couple days away, so get your questions ready for this week. Q&A Thursday is one of the most popular segments every single week, so I hope you enjoy it too. Questions about the Bible studies, questions about the Word, about life, practicality, relationships. There's all that stuff in there. I hope that you guys feel free to ask any of those questions you want. So how is your week going? That's my question for you guys, especially it's the poll question for this week is, how is your 2023 going? And already a lot of people, I did post it up a little bit late, so I'm not going to do a poll. I'm not going to go over the percentages right now because I did post it up really late. But I'm glad that there are people that are actually voting already. At this point right now, there's already 13 people that voted for it, so that's kind of cool. And we're seeing that one thing I'm super happy so far is we're seeing that there's a good array of people that are enjoying this year, and some people struggling, some people going through rough times too. But I really, really hope all of you guys out there, no matter how difficult, no matter how tough it gets, I hope that we can hold on, especially for 2023. This is the year that, think about the title of, we got to do it until the end of the year. Right, and this is something that I hope that all of us can do together, help each other out, talk to each other, make sure that if you guys need help with something, if you guys need to talk about something, I hope that we can open our ears to other people and maybe not so much saying our own opinions, but maybe giving people that encouragement, the word, and helping them out to know that they're not alone. And we're all going through this together, all right? So hopefully you guys have really gotten a lot of things done for this week, whether it's school or work, family, church, whatever it is. But there's a lot of things to talk about today, and especially everyone is kind of looking forward to the Provi in the media today because I will go over episode 1 today, right? I think I will go over episode 2 and 3 maybe on Thursday, possibly. But number 1, I'm watching them, but I'm looking at it from the eye of a lawyer. All right, so that's something that I do think that's something that is a healthy thing to do because, you can't just sit there, look at it, and believe everything that you see on TV just because it's on TV, right? So for me, I want to go over this very, very carefully with a fine-tooth, not like a fine-tooth comb, but more so, I'm going to take a look at it and go over my thoughts and just kind of what generally went on in episode 1. And I hope it's something that will help you guys out a lot. And like I said, guys, we should be those that are well-informed, and for some of us, we're ready to watch it, some of us we're not, and that's why I will provide the summaries and thoughts for each of the episodes so that you guys will have an idea of what's actually happening, what's going on too. So that way, a lot of people can still be informed without watching it, because some people might be sensitive to that type of imagery and stuff like that too. So it's really, really, the responsibility is on your side, right? I'm not sitting here saying that everyone, you must watch it. I don't want to force anyone to watch it. This is all about you, and this is why I will do the summary for you today on episode 1. Okay, so today is kind of a break day for me. I need to fully recover, guys. Tons of water and rest. Got to do my laundry after getting back from that trip. Making sure that I don't overexert myself because it's been a hectic 5 days. It's almost like a 5-day vacation. Because right after, like I told you yesterday, right after I was 2 days of hosting friends from Japan, and they're off to an island doing vacation stuff. So I got 3 days of just rest. So I'm really, really hoping to just kind of kill everything right now, kill all this sickness, get that nose unclogged and stuff like that, so you can hear my nasally sound too, right? So I'm really, really going to focus on relaxing, exercise. I want exercise, but I'm not sure if it would be good for me because I don't want to get people at the gym sick too. So yeah, that's something that I'm concerned. But I haven't been in the gym in 5 days, so it feels like I have to go. But I should go, right? Either way. So already, guys, think about this. It's March 7th. The first week of March is already gone. Right? The year is pushing forward. So many things to think about, so many things to do. But I realize that, this year, man, time pushes so quickly. And when you look at like how cruel time can be, is, like when you're in class and the class is so long and like sometimes the time feels like forever, right? And then when you're having fun, you want it to last forever. Time just speeds up. You're like, oh, what's with time? And time is cruel. It is. And the year pushes on. Time pushes on regardless of what is happening in your life. And no matter what you're going through, you need to do what you need to do because time is not going to wait. It's just going to push, right? Just because you're struggling, just because you're going through a difficult time, it doesn't mean that time will stop for us. It means that, time continues. We're all going to struggle. We're all going to go through different things. Just got to keep doing. Push yourself through these times. If you need to talk, get some people to talk about it. Would love, even myself, I'm very, very open to talking to people to see how things are going also. So push yourself to do your best. Time is going to push forward, as cruel as it is, especially in this time right now. And, it really made me think about all of us here, we have technically speaking, we all have first world problems. Even with Netflix and everything else, it's all first world problems, honestly. Why? If I think about people in Ukraine, they still have to work and live their life, even though the war is happening in their country and they're still being shelled by the Russians every day. So when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, we got first world problems. It's not as devastating as you think it is, right? So I hope that all of us understand, time is going to go forward no matter what. And it's all going to be about, as Jesus said in Matthew 24, I think it's verse 12 or 13, he says, but those who stand firm to the end will be saved. Right? So we need to stand firm and be strong until the very, very end. All right? So I hope you guys will really, really enjoy today's podcast. A lot of things to think about, but I think everyone's looking forward to that final segment on Provi in the media. But let's get this show started and let's play some music from member artists from around the world. Right? So it is an awesome Tuesday. We're going to start off with a book from Paper Music Associates in Korea with a song called A Flower featuring Hannah. And then we have Jucinda from Canada, this song that she made when she was a newcomer. This song is called You're My Heaven. And then last but not least, we have Kuma-chan from Japan with Greatest Blessing 2022.
It's you I dream of, Lord. I long for your embrace. With love you've led me here, ever thankful for this grace. Let me feel you, Lord, I pray. Fill my heart with your heart. Let my spirit in yours embrace. In the passion of your fire, my bridegroom, break me, heal me, restore me, my Lord. Please make of me your masterpiece, a bride of love and joy. Oh, my love, shape me, perfect me, free me from my sins. Let me live with you forevermore in your kingdom. I just wanna be your eternal love. You're my heaven. I know I've hurt you, Lord, brought you pain beyond compare. I failed in many ways, your heart I rip and tear. But Lord, you've shown me grace in every circumstance. You've forgiven my disgrace. You gave me one last chance to show you that I love you. I need you. I thank you, my Lord. I long to be your hands and feet, a bride of love and joy. Oh, my love, to know you and feel you. You're my everything. I just wanna be your eternal love. You're my heaven, my love. I wanna show you how I love you, how I need you, my Lord. I long to be your hands and feet, a bride of love and joy. Oh my Lord, I love you, I miss you. You're my everything. I just wanna be your eternal love. You're my heaven. I love you, Lord, forevermore. Holy Son Jesus, my bridegroom. I love you. You're in me, I'm in you, my bridegroom. I love you. You're in me, I'm in you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
もう終わり令和の時代成長下から戦う時代うまくいかないうまくやれないことが多いけど決して諦めないあれから7年の月日が経ち蒔いた種は少しずつ芽を出し今すべて捨てられざらいあなたに告げて Be alright どんなに険しい道のりでも果てない壁に阻まれても It's fly away Fly away、yeah、天高く頂上目指す観難の波が押し寄せてもこんなに愛が溢れてるから立ち上がれ立ち上がれ、yeah、一人じゃない It's your love
最高の祝福得る時代愛そうこれからの未来に期待世界はまだまるで瞑想未来永劫したくない戦争この時代に訪れた平和最も大きな愛をくれたメシアただ確信してずっと愛そう感謝が溢れる死の栄光
どんなに険しい道のりでも果てない壁に阻まれても It's fly away Fly away、yeah、天高く頂上目指す観難の波が押し寄せてもこんなに愛が溢れてるから立ち上がれ立ち上がれ、yeah、一人じゃない青が主の愛とその恵み忘れないで御言葉を行って御言葉を通し全てに勝って主の軍隊となり黄金の城へ前進する主と共に溢れる祝福をくださった惜しみなくくださった主に感謝する永遠に主のそばで生きられる夢ではない現実主を愛します最高の祝福をくださった心は天国です感謝します主と輝く歴史なそう私を使ってください愛してます愛してます
And that was Kuma-chan from Japan with Greatest Blessing 2022. Before that, Jucinda from Canada with You're My Heaven. And of course, feature artist of the day, that is Bok from Paper Music Associates in Korea with A Flower featuring Hannah. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into some news going on around the world. And as brides of this history and knowing how powerful the powerful prayers are from the brides, what are we doing? We need to pray for the world, but in order to pray for the world, we need to know what is going on. So let's first start off with news coming out of China. And this is, we do know that the 2 sessions are happening right now. This is an annual affair that happens with the government. And it looks like China will boost their military budget while warning of escalating threats. China will increase military spending by more than 7% this year while warning of escalating threats. It was announced at the National People's Congress, a rubber stamp parliament, which is due to confirm President Xi Jinping's 3rd term. Beijing's military budget, around $225 billion, is still dwarfed by that of the United States, which is 4 times greater. But analysts believe China downplays how much it spends on defense. And it was also announced at the meeting that China would pursue a reduced economic growth target of about 5% this year. The 2 sessions, we know it's happening right now, but they will confirm Xi Jinping as the president for this year also. And this year's sessions are particularly significant as delegates are expected to reshape several key Communist Party and state institutions. The increase in military spending comes right? As, President Xi is navigating worsening ties with the U.S. over the Ukraine war and the recent spy balloon saga, even as he warms his embrace of Russian leader Vladimir Putin. And U.S. officials have also repeatedly warned that China may invade Taiwan in the coming years. So it is very, very interesting to see what's going to happen here, but that's quite an interesting point, though, that they've increased their budget by over 7%, and yet it is dwarfed by America's military spending, which is even their 7% increase is 4 times less. It's only a quarter of what the U.S. spends on the military, so that is quite crazy how much the U.S. is spending on military itself. In second news, there are protests going on in Greece because of the train crash, and the Prime Minister Mitsotakis seeks forgiveness from families. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has asked for forgiveness from the families of the 57 victims of this week's train crash. Protests have continued for days. Clashes with police were reported on Sunday as thousands joined a demonstration in the capital, Athens. Police estimated 12,000 people attended the protest. They said 7 officers were hurt, 5 arrests were made, and some demonstrators set fire to rubbish bins and threw petrol bombs. Police responded firing tear gas and stun grenades, clearing the central Syntagma Square of the protesters within minutes. The protesters also reportedly released hundreds of black balloons into the sky in memory of the dead, with some holding signs reading, "Down with killer governments." But many in Greece see the crash as an accident that has been waiting to happen, and the Railway Workers Union blames successive governments' disrespect towards Greek railways for leading to this tragic result. Last but not least, we'll go to Estonia. Elections just happened over there. Kallas secures a big win for center-right party. Kallas, one of Ukraine's biggest European supporters, will need to work with junior partners to form a coalition government. Voters in Estonia have elected a new parliament with almost complete results suggesting a big win for the center-right Reform Party of Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, one of Europe's most outspoken supporters of Ukraine. With 99% of ballots counted, Kallas's liberal group was at 31.6%, followed by the far-right Eurosceptic EKRE party at 16.1%, reflecting concerns among some voters over the rising cost of living in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Center Party, traditionally favored by Estonia's sizable ethnic Russian minority, was at 14.7%. So Estonia is a country of only 1.3 million people on Russia's northwestern border and has been one of Kyiv's most vocal supporters since Moscow invaded Ukraine on February 24th. And its military assistance to Ukraine amounts to more than 1% of gross domestic product. This is the biggest contribution of any country relative to the size of its economy. So another big election just happening through. A lot of things are changing right now. Hope you guys will keep tabs on these things of what is happening this year. All right? So that's the top 3 news around the world. Hope it's something that opens your eyes to the things that we can pray for. So let's get to some sporting news. We'll start off with soccer. Just a crushing. It was Liverpool just crushed Man U 7-0. And that puts them on course for a top 4 finish. And that's something crazy. I think it's the largest loss that Man U's had to Liverpool ever, I think. 7-0. So that was an amazing game. And in other news, in Spain, Real Madrid title hopes dented with goalless draw at Betis. So Real Betis and Real Madrid tied at 0-0. right? Which basically means that now Barcelona is 9 points clear of second place of Real Madrid. So it looks like it is out of their hands by this point. In NBA news, Steph Curry returns to the Warriors to face the Lakers, but the Warriors fell behind by 20 points. And then they tried to fight their way, but they came up short, falling 113 to 105, so good win for the Lakers. Anthony Davis leading the way with 39 points and a monster on defense. Another big game with 4 superstars, Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. And these 4 superstars, which is basically Devin Booker, Durant, Doncic, and Irving, all in their prime, they scored 137 points combined, these 4 players, which is nuts. In the end, of course, it was the Phoenix Suns that won 130 to 126. Booker had 36 points, Durant had 37, Doncic had 34, and Irving had 30. So that must have been a wild game to watch. Last but not least, we'll go to F1 news as the new season just started and defending champ Max Verstappen kicks off the F1 title defense with an easy Bahrain GP win. And, you know, he's doing awesome. Like, he's like the best driver we've seen. He's got the record for most wins in a season. And basically, he was unbeatable, like over 11 seconds clear of his teammate in second place. So congratulations to Verstappen on the first win of the season. All right. So there it is, guys. That is top 3 news in sports and, of course, news around the world. Hope it helps you guys out with your prayer topics. But you know what that means. It is the golden time. And yes, this is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? We're going to start off with His will, and then what faith has given me, and we'll end things off with Unshaken by the Wind. So, as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
more certain and certain now. My faith is stronger and stronger now. The more and more I realize this history of God, I am more certain and certain now. I am more certain and certain now.
To those who do not shake, although the wind may blow, know I love you. I've always loved you so. Through heavy storms and rain, your heart remains the same. My love for you stays true. It'll never change. Let's not forget the memories we shared in the past. Just like the clouds glow across the blue sky, they all come to mind. And if they fall, let's raise them up and help them to go on. Surely He works through you. The Lord is with you. To those who do not shake, although the wind may blow, know I loved you. I've always loved you so. Through heavy storms and rain, your heart remains the same. My love for you stays true. It'll never change. Let's not forget the memories we shared in the past. Just like the clouds flow across the blue sky, they all come to mind. And if they fall, let's raise them up and help them to go on. Surely He works through you. The Lord is with you. God speaks to us through creation's words, so act on His words before it's too late. One star runs out, your spirits too will fall into the night.
And that is a wonderful and inspiring song that is Unshaken by the Wind. I hope all of you guys received a lot of inspiration from that. Before, What Faith Has Given Me, and that first song is His Will. All right, so let's get into some word study for today. I hope you guys, your hearts are made ready from it. Today is a practical word study, and just a couple things that we can go over for the practical word study. And I do think this is something that I do think we have to work on, the practical word study is such an important part because it helps us to put the words of God into action, or helps us to move our minds or our mentalities, right? And especially this week, the biggest thing that matters is, do you have the clear and perfect perception? That's the big question. Do you have a clear and perfect perception of this history, what is happening, the man of mission, who Jesus is, who the Holy Trinity is? And that's why a lot of different lessons I do think you need to start brushing up on, so you can check your perception about Jesus and the man of mission, right? So do you know the clear difference between the two, like Jesus and the man of mission, right? Of course, they are similar, but also they're different at the same time. They're completely two different people. All right. So I do believe that the best lecture to look upon that one, to figure this one out, is probably the Holy Trinity lecture. And that's one of the ones that was mentioned inside the message this year too. So the best lecture to brush up, and I do think you guys should go over your notes, is the Holy Trinity, knowing how people are the same but separate at the same time. Right? So put it this way. When you read the words of God, and when you understand the words of God, we know that two have to become one, right? For instance, you cannot become the body of the Lord without becoming one with the Lord, right? That's truth. You have to become one. You have to become someone who knows their shimjung, knows their thoughts, knows their hearts, and does the same actions as they do, because you are one. You are united, right? And that's, the one big point that's being brought about from this week's message is the separation. Which means, it doesn't mean that they're not one. It just means you have to understand they're not the same people. That's it. That's the key point of this week's message is, hey, just make sure you know the difference, right? Like, the man of mission is not Jesus, and that is obvious. We've never taught that he was Jesus, ever, right? Never. We've never taught that he was Jesus. We never taught that he was God, and we never taught anything that, that he was all-powerful, almighty, especially when we learned the Holy Son lesson, right? He's not almighty. Right? So you can already put that into very, very clearly is, if you understand the Holy Son lesson, you know that the man of mission by himself has no power by himself, right? Without the Holy Trinity, he is nothing, right? And that is something that's very, very clear if you separated the two, right? So remember, we're kind of like splitting hairs right now because they are one, yet we know that they're separate entities. And one of the best ways to look at that is when it comes down to the Holy Trinity lesson is, how is the Holy Trinity separate yet one? And of course, we learned the family structure. The family structure, what binds the family together, what makes them one and separates them at the same time is blood. What makes a family one? It is the blood, right? Yes, you and your mom and your dad have the same DNA. However, you are completely a separate person with half, the chromosomes coming from your dad and half coming from your mom, right? So you are a new person. But what makes you family is your blood. Contained in the blood, you have the DNA that made who you are, and you look like your parents, right? It's the blood, right? And when we understand this very carefully, well, what means, if they are one, that means that even if the child disowns the parents or the parents disown the child, in the end, the blood is still the blood. You're still one. You're still of the same DNA. You can't get past that. That's how one you are, right? You can say whatever you want. That's not my dad. That's not my mom. But if you're coming from their sperm and their egg, you can't get away from that. You are one. You're the same blood, same family, right? In the same way too, we have to look at it from the spiritual perspective of what is blood to the Holy Trinity. Well, they don't have physical bodies, so what is the blood? Well, when you look at the Bible and we look at the parables that we've learned, well, look at the parable of not the transfiguration, of communion. Holy Communion is bread is the body and wine is the blood, right? So when we look at it, it's like, when Jesus says you have to eat my flesh and drink my blood, right? So eat my flesh, drink my blood, or that also means the bread, it's symbolized by the bread and the wine. But we know, does that mean literally we have to eat Jesus' flesh and drink his blood? The answer is absolutely not. But when we learn about parables, what is food? Like food and drink, right? Food and drink is the word, right? It's the word. We learned that food, eat the words, the daily bread, eating the words of life, right? It is a parable for the word is food and drink, right? So when we look at this, we're like, oh, that makes sense. So the blood is the words of God. The word is the blood that runs through the veins of the Holy Trinity, and that's why they are one. You cannot break them apart because they have the same word. They follow the same will. What does that mean? If we want to become those that are united with the Holy Trinity, then we take their words, believe the words, and put them into action and do their will. And then what happens? We become the body because we became one with him through the words of God, right? And in the same way too, how do you become one? Well, if we want to become one with the Lord, or the Lord, if the man in mission becomes one with Jesus, what does that mean? It's through the word and putting the word into action. Fulfilling the will of God is the number one thing that matters. The number one thing that matters. And if he does that, he becomes one with the Lord, right? So here's the thing. Then we have like, well, how do we split the two? And the answer is, you don't really split the two. We only split the two so that people understand clearly who is the one with the power, who's the one doing the work, right? That one is the messenger and one is the one that is making all the words and stuff like that, right? But when you look at it from just a plain point of view, they are one, right? And that's the thing is, they are one, but you need to know that there's two people or two entities that became one, right? And once you learn Holy Son, one of the biggest problems that sometimes lecturers do is they leave it as they are separate and that's it. Where then you've lost the audience, where you haven't given them a complete picture. They are separate, but they're one. They're united. They're together, right? So this is why you need to know, like when it comes to the practical word study, you got to check out the Holy Trinity lesson. Understand that really well. So like, oh, so they are separate. However, they are one, right? They have the same shimjung, same heart, same actions. They want to do the same thing. They want the same thing to be fulfilled. And they'll discuss together of what the best way to do things are, right? Which leads us into the second. So the first one is take a look at the Holy Trinity lesson so you can understand what it means to be one and separated. And what this week's message is about is just showing the line between the two. Right? And the answer is, it's true. Whatever he said is true is, guess what? The man in mission is not Jesus, and that is true. The man in mission does not have the same mission as Jesus, and that is true. The man in mission has his own mission, right? Which is separate. And this is where if we don't learn properly, and we don't have that clear, if we're not clear, right? If we're not very clear about this, what happens? Then lots of misunderstandings happen, and this is where lots of problems are caused. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I watch the Netflix, you could just see there's a lot of things that were misunderstood because of the word, right? People didn't understand the word fully, and they understand it in their own way, and these are the things that happen there, right? So that's why we have to have a very clear and perfect perception of who the man in mission, who Jesus is, who the Holy Trinity is, right? So everyone, go look at the Holy Trinity lesson. The second one I would advise, because I like that beginning intro that I thought was perfect, is we only know pieces, but sometimes we fail to look at the big picture and where does the piece of that puzzle fall into, right? So a lot of times we just take one point and we follow that one point, and all we do is look at that one point and think that's everything, and we throw everything else away. Right? So like, let me give an example. Like some people will say that, hey, Pastor Sky, did you tell everyone to watch Netflix? I'm like, no, I didn't say that, because basically I recommend it. If you're mature enough, go ahead and take a look at it. But if you're not, I will make a summary for you guys so you don't have to watch it yourselves. Right? So you're like, oh, okay. So some people, if they take that one thing, they're going to think to themselves, oh, he said we have to watch it. I'm like, well, no, I didn't say you have to. Right? But it's up to you guys. I'll never say no. I'll never say don't watch. Right? I think that's the wrong way to do it. But I will say, yeah, if you're mature enough, go and take a look at it. Right? I watched it, and I'm not sitting there like, oh my gosh, what's happening in my life? Why was it? No, it's just sometimes because we hear something like, oh, did he say that? But then you don't listen to the rest of what is being said, right? And that's something that we have to really work on. See the big picture, put the piece of the puzzle into the large picture. Right? And this is why I loved listening to learning the word. And I liked, listening to the doctrines piece by piece. And slowly you put the puzzle together and then it makes sense. So as we mature, we'll be able to hold many pieces and see the big picture and not just think about one piece of the puzzle and then freak out about it, right? We need to see it carefully, put the pieces together. So what I would suggest to you guys, some other lessons I would go over, like that would help with this one, is like clouds and Advent. Like those two things are big. Clouds will talk about the relationship of the man of mission and the Spirit of the Lord. And then also the Advent, right, of how it actually happens. It comes in spirit, right? And maybe Rapture would be a great one too, guys. Excuse me. Right? So I think those three are very, very good to go over. It doesn't have to go in depth if you don't want to, but at least get that clear in your mind and then put it into the big picture while you know the Holy Son and while you know the Holy Trinity lecture. And that's going to help you guys out a lot more than you think. It really is. And that's why I'm someone who's recommending that these things, that we really, really understand clearly the words that we heard. You know, a lot of times we only listen to what? We only listen to one or two things, right? Or we listen to the word one or two times, and then we end there, right? We end there and we think to ourselves, oh, okay, I know the word now. But then later on, like say 2-3 years down the road, or even a year down the road, what happens? You might think to yourself like, oh, someone might come to you with a question, and what happens? You're going to be like, wait, oh, I remember that, but what was it talking about? Hey, what was it talking about? And you completely forgot actually the concepts of what you learned, right? And that's why I'm telling you guys that you guys have to keep reviewing the word. As weird as it sounds when you say to yourself like, oh, why do we keep hearing this over and over again? And the answer is because you keep forgetting, right? You keep forgetting. And it's not that we're stupid, it's just that's the way life is. Life is like that, where, you know, if we don't hear something for a long time, we forget, right? And I hope that's something that all of us can really understand at a higher level, and we'll be the people that will keep reminding ourselves. You know, I would say at least once a year, go over it. Sit in on lessons at least once a year, so you listen to us like, oh, yeah, I remember that. At least the core 8. At least that much. Right, and I hope it's something that all of you guys will be able to really be able to, you know, maybe I'll do like quick reviews here and there, like on a separate video, so you guys can watch them, just to get a quick review on those lessons too. Maybe that's something that I can do for you guys here. Okay, either way, that's the word study for today. Hope you guys enjoyed those 2 pieces of things that you guys can do on your own. You know, I would say it would take you about 20 minutes a day, which is not a lot of time. Or you could, you know, set it to 2 hours and get a lot of review and studying in there and start piecing things together and praying about that too. But that's purely up to you guys. But that's for you guys to strengthen your faith. Okay, so there it is. That is the word study for today, practical word study. Hope you guys enjoyed that, which means we're going to get into our final song, right? The song of choice for today. And today's song of choice is going to be from Torrin Wells, which I really like this gospel singer, Torrin Wells, and Elevation Worship. And this song, I love it. Listen to the lyrics. It's amazing. It is Joy in the Morning.
Everything happens for a reason, but you don't know what you don't know. And you'll never have peace if you don't let go of tomorrow. 'Cause it ain't even fate till your plan falls apart, but you still choose to follow. If it doesn't make sense right now, it will when it's over. There will be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. There will be joy in the morning. Giving in to your feelings is like drowning in the shallows. Oh, you gotta keep believing, even in the middle of the unknown. 'Cause grace will be there when you come to the end of your rope and you let go. It may feel like you're going down now, but the story isn't over. There will be joy. Done
see. Oh, every morning, hold on till you see just a little bit longer and sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. Oh, there's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. There's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. Joy is on the horizon. Joy is coming. Joy is on the horizon. The Lord will be comforted. Joy is on the horizon. Tears will reap joy. Joy is on the horizon. Oh, I feel it coming. I feel it stirring up deep inside. Oh, so keep holding on. Keep holding on. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming. So keep holding on. Oh, keep holding on. 'Cause weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming. Oh, keep holding on, oh child. Keep holding on. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming. Oh, keep holding, oh, keep holding on. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming.
And that was Torn Wells and Elevation Worship with Joy in the Morning. And when you look at it in a very poetic way, it's kind of saying that, the darkness comes, but there will be joy in the morning. When the sunlight comes up back in the morning, it means that the darkness has passed and the joy will come in the morning when the sun comes up again. And I really hope that all of us can understand that too for our lives right now, or in every life, in everything that happens in life. There's always going to be, like I said a couple weeks ago, is the winter is going to come and the winter will pass, right? And this is why I'm going into today's Provi in the Media. I'm going to talk about Netflix episode 1. And a couple things that we need to know from like the big picture. I want you guys to take a look at the big picture first. One of the things I'm trying to do is, I said at the very beginning, I'm looking at these episodes with the mindset of a lawyer. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to be influenced by emotion. I don't want to be influenced by something that's shocking to watch, right? So some people can be influenced because something is so shocking, like, oh my gosh, and then because of that, they get trauma or they get influenced by it, not because something is true or false. It's mainly because it is shocking, right? And a lot of times when you're looking at things from a lawyer's point of view, you have to look at something that what is going to prove that what you said is true. Like that is the big thing that I look at. Is it proof? Is it enough for me to say, oh my goodness, this is beyond reasonable doubt? Now, when you look at a court case, one of the big things that we look at is you'll have like, well, not in Korea though, but in regular cases, you'll have like in America and Canada and other countries too that have the system, you'll have jurors, 12 jurors that are going to be listening to all the evidence from both sides. And then in order for there to be an absolute conviction, like this person is wrong, they are a murderer, they are a rapist, they are a grand theft, whatever it is, or someone who, did this or that, all 12 have to agree and say, yes, it's beyond reasonable doubt. Now, why is it beyond reasonable doubt? No one can prove 100%, right? We know that. That's true. Like even when it comes to God, you can't prove 100%, you can't disprove 100%, but we look at something as beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that everyone on the jurors, all 12 are going to look at it and say, oh, okay, yeah, you can never prove 100%, but from all the evidence that we've seen for sure, yeah, beyond a reasonable doubt, it's reasonable to say that they did it, right? So this is something that we have to understand too is, when you're going to, if you're going to watch this, there are going to be some shocking things you're going to see, right? And don't let the shock get to you and say, oh my gosh, this proves everything. And the answer is no, it's not. You have to look at things that are proving everything. Like for instance, let me give an example. If someone writes an apology and just says, oh, I'm so sorry, that proves nothing. It doesn't. Right? Because there has to be an actual confession, like I am sorry for doing this, because you could be sorry for multiple reasons, right? You couldn't just break it down to just one point, okay? And that's why, when we look at this episode 1, the big picture is the biggest thing we have to look for. And we'll look at episode 1, so just the first one, right? And I'm sure I know there's 3 episodes out right now, and I'm sure it's just going to get worse and worse, but the first episode obviously is just setting the stage. You can kind of see it's building towards something else, right? So, obviously there's no evidence or proof that Sunseem's done anything. There isn't anything, right? And another thing you need to know is everything, this is all filmed way earlier than even the trial, right? Which means that the person who's making this documentary is making it even before the trial starts and is basically giving a platform for the accusers. We can't say victims, because once you say victim means it is absolutely true, right? That's why that's one of the tricks that media does, is media says these are the victims, right? And once you hear the word victim, you think, oh, it actually happened to them. But nothing is proven, right? So it's actually still, they're alleged victims, right? And they're not people who has actually happened, right? So that's one of the tricks that media does with wording. So when you look at this, it's like, okay, so these are the accusers, and they get their platform to say everything that they want to say, right? And when you look at the documentary and even the articles of this documentary, the producer basically wants to, make people not believe anymore. If you watch this, you're not going to believe in this history anymore, kind of thing. So he has a goal. He has some assumptions and a narrative. So if you understand this, it's based on the documentary, the producer, the director's narrative. Like he believes this, and everything is going to support and lead to that, right? And that's why for us, we have to look at ourselves looking at ourselves, right? We have to understand we have to look at it from a different point of view, right? We're looking for absolute proof, like beyond a reasonable doubt, right? This is not about what people thought. It's not what people are accusing. It's not even about the actions of members, because you're going to watch these videos, you're going to see some actions of members. You're like, whoa, that's weird. Why would they do that kind of thing, right? And even leaders, right? The way leaders were going about this too, we have to be able to understand this very, very well, right? So the proof, you can't blame you can't say, oh, Sunseem did this. Why? Because the members sent this type of video to him. You can't. There's not admission of proof. This is just, this is basically, even the trial right now there is no proof. Why? Because it's a he said, she said thing, right? So there's no proof at the moment. And what the prosecutors are trying to do is show that, look, look at all these bad things in the past, which means that he must have done it this one. And the answer is, well, you can't really look at that and say that's absolute proof that he did this, right? Because let's just say this. Imagine you were someone who was a bad person before you came to this history. Let's just pretend, or let's just say in the past when you were young until you're 20, drug dealer, doing drugs, hurting people, went to jail, all these other different things. Let's just say that you were like that. And then you changed and you come and you change yourself and you become someone who's a good citizen in life, and then someone says, look what this person did to me. And then all they do is look at your past and say, look at all the bad things you did, so you must be guilty now. And that doesn't make sense either, right? And that's why you can't base it on the narrative and any assumptions. You have to look for absolute proof, like real proof, right? And that's why the narrative from this documentary that, is kind of starting off with, hey, this problem has always been there in the past, right? So it's kind of trying to let you know that he was like this before, so he'll always be like this. And he's a bad person, so now the public opinion will be that he is guilty. It's going to be a very emotional thing. Okay, so that's kind of one of the things you have to keep in mind is, remember, they are accusing us, which means they have the burden of proof. The onus goes on to them, and they need to prove that it is absolute and is true. Okay, so we go into episode 1, and it's episode 1 starts off with, it does an intro and stuff like that. And the intro is kind of interesting too, because the intro shows Sunsim teaching about the fall. I'm not sure how that, but if you put really dark music behind it, and if this is about sexual crimes, and Sunsim's talking about it in his Bible study, I'm not sure if that's supposed to make people think that, oh my gosh, that makes him bad because he teaches about this, but he's teaching not to do it. So it's kind of weird for me to see that. And then there was like some audio recording in the beginning that's showing this little piece of it. It's very muffled. And when you hear the voice, to me, it doesn't even sound like Sunsim too. So I'm not sure about that, how authentic that recording is. And in the beginning, basically, it's Maple from Hong Kong. She comes in and she says, hey, excuse me, I was, people tried to stop me from doing the documentary. And, personally, I think that's not a bad thing. Like people, when she went to the airport, someone went to meet her at the airport and says, hey, please don't do this documentary, right? And then also when she went to Hong Kong, it shows that some of the people there told her not to come to not to do the documentary either, kind of thing, right? And for me is when I look at that, I would be like, wow, because people don't want her to do it, and there are probably people that she knows, right? So I kind of understand that, but the way it's portrayed is people are following me, and she said that people are following her all the way from the airport to her hotel. There's like someone parked up there, and basically there's a lot of conjecture, and there was nothing proven that she was being followed. There was nothing there, right? So, but if you're just watching it, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, they followed her, they did this, and this, but there's nothing there that actually proves it. And even when I was looking at the video of, oh, there's a car following us, it's the same car from yesterday, I'm not sure. And even when the camera crew came out to go to the people in the car, they're all covering their faces. Why? Because they have a camera pointed at them. Why would they want to be recorded? You know what I mean? So even that, I was kind of like, I don't know if that's real or not, right? I'm just looking at it from a very observational point of view. Is it real? Were they really being followed, right? They blocked the license plate. Did they check the license plate? Did the license plate belong to members? Does it belong? Who does it belong to? But there was nothing there proven. Anything else like that? It's just like, oh, they were following us. Oh, it's the same car, and it was done there. So for me, I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? And is it possible? Sure, I'm sure it's possible too, right? So she does this video in the hotel saying that I'm gonna do this now because I might die, which I think is a little bit, I think she's probably really, really stressed at that moment because, she's about to do this documentary. It's going to change her life because she's going to always be known as that person, right? And, she kind of made it like someone was out to get her, to kill her. But, I don't think there's ever been anything like that in Providence. Like, we're going to kill her? So that was something I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe maybe that's what she's feeling at the moment. So that's very possible that she feels, she's very paranoid because of the situation that she's going through. And then also the people in Hong Kong, when she was at the airport, told her that, if she does a documentary, she's going to face great pressure, right? Or great influence, right? And, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I think that's true too, because, I was someone who was talking to Maple in the past also. And we got along fine. I was helping out with the YouTube channel, everything else like that. And, she said she was, like facing great pressure. Like, this is what I mean by when you single out something certain, like great pressure means you're going to die. Like, what does that mean, great pressure? Like, I can give you like 10, 20 different reasons of pressures you can feel. Because when I talked to Maple about this, it was like, I was like, hey, if you do this, there's going to be pressure. Like, not pressure from members, just society itself, right? Pressure from public scrutiny, pressure from media, pressure in life, having this over you for the rest of your, there's just a lot of different pressures that happen in life besides this. It's really, really a stressful thing to put yourself on TV to the entire world. So, that's what I'm saying is there only one reason for something, only one possibility that great pressure meant that the Hong Kong members were threatening her that they were going to go and assassinate her? And the answer is, I don't think so. And it's kind of like, it's hard to put it down to just one thing. And then it went into talked about like Provi history, how history started. It talked about Korean history, how there was, it was a very difficult time in Korea with a lot of protests with students, and how evangelism began with elite universities. And that's a strategy, and I don't think that's a bad thing. So, like, I don't know if it was trying to make it look bad or not, but some things were actually, they kind of testified a bit too. Like, one of the guys who left was talking about how many miracles and signs there were. That's why he came. Like, he talked about the prophecy of Sunsim, naming the winners of the election at that time in the 80s in order of top to bottom. So that was a miracle. Someone talked about Sunsim prayed for their mother. The doctor said she would die. She's terminally ill, but Sunsim said she's going to be fine, and she lived. There was people with cancer who was healed, people walking without a limp anymore. They were limping before, not limping anymore. Their back was healed, arthritis, or all these other different things that that people were actually receiving a lot of. They received miracles from Sunsim too. So that was something that I thought it's something that's a helper, right? It's something that really helps them. It helps Sunsim's cause because he was making miracles happen. And then they took one sentence out of context when Sunsim says, I can heal everything with one touch, right? And yes, he said that before, but we also know that as those that listen to the word, he also talks about responsibility, talks about your faith, that if you don't have enough faith, then you can't be healed, and if you don't set any conditions, like there's a lot of different things that Sunsim talks about besides healing with one touch, right? So even when I looked at that, you can see that there is a narrative or a goal that they're pushing towards, right? Yes, they showed the sentence, I can heal everything with one touch. And then they said, but there are many people that were not healed. And I was like, that's true, but if you look at the full context of how Sunsim talks, he does talk about when he heals someone, I heal someone with one touch. But then on the other hand, he does say there's responsibility. And he does say that your faith matters too. And he does say setting conditions make a difference too. So I could look at that and say, yeah, that was definitely taken out of context also. Then there was like an old pastors and stuff talking about the doctrine Sunsim teaches, and he talks about the parables and the metaphors. And Sunsim doesn't say everything's a metaphor, but the way that the pastor talked about, he said that the whole Bible's a metaphor. And the answer is no, it's not. There are some things that are real. And Sunsim just talks about some of the things that we misunderstand that are more spiritual than they are physical, right? And then I think Maple talked about how the word was so great because it was scientifically backed too. Like you take science and you try to prove it through science also, which makes the Bible make a lot more sense, which for me, I agree with. Like there are Sunsim doesn't use science all the time. It's not so much science, it's more like there's some things that involve science and some things that involve like seeing it more spiritual than physical, right? Like spiritual clouds. Like Jesus not literally coming on the clouds, coming on spiritual clouds, which are the people, right? So there was another section where it's very, very taken out of context. It says, Sunsim says, you can't see God, just look at me, right? And the answer is, oh, we know this. This is from those lessons like Holy Trinity and like Rapture, and it's also from those other lessons. Because when we look at the man of mission, remember we know the relationships is we can't see God, so we see God through the one that He sends. And we've learned this before, so this is taken out of context also. And another thing that's quite interesting that I like, because a lot of the stuff I looked at is very doctrinally based, and a lot of it is taken out of context. So he says, yeah, if you can't see God, look at me. You could see me, you could see God through me. But in the translation says, I am God, which is like, that was a bad translation. He's not saying I am God, right? And he's not saying it literally because, we know many times he says, I'm not God. Hey, don't say I'm God. I'll get judged, right? So that was taken out of context also. And there's another part saying it's very difficult to meet Sunsim and always big people around him or really pretty girls, always giving counseling. So it's really, really hard to meet him. He's so busy. And I would say it is hard to meet Sunsim. It is. I don't really doubt that. Yeah, because he's so busy. Like if you look at his life, he's so busy. And the only reason I was able to meet Sunsim is when he comes over to the foreign countries, there's only like 20 of us, and he can counsel all 20 of us. Or and it's a blessing, right? Is it hard to meet him? Absolutely, right? Is it? For me, am I honored to it? Yeah, I'm honored to meet him too. He's such a busy guy doing so many things. So that's kind of like the build up that's slowly starting to build up. So you kind of look at all these other different things. They're trying to put they're taking a bunch of different pieces out there, some of them out of context, and they're trying to put them together, right? And then you start to go into the accusations, right? So the accusations are coming out. There's like 3 or 4 people that come to testify. Right? And most of them are older. Maple's the only one that's young. Everyone else is from like 1999, 1991. Like we're talking way, way in the past. These people are accusing from 30, 40 years ago. Right? So it's kind of weird because the way they portrayed, like, what they do in film style is they have, what do you call it? Someone's telling the story and then you have like a dramatization of it, right? And it was really weird for me because the girl says, "Oh, I walked into his room to counsel," but then when you look at the dramatization, he's in his bathrobe, which is really personally I just never seen him in a bathrobe. So I was like, "Wow, that's weird." Like he was in a bathrobe counseling. I've never seen somebody counsel in a bathrobe before, like ever. But that's just me. Maybe I haven't seen that point. But he was counseling in a bathrobe, and she was a minor, and I'd say the first couple of things that I saw, like when it comes to the accounts from the people way in the past, these accounts were from the past. And if you look at the timeline, like of the first accusations the media allegations came in 1999, right? And even after formal charges were come against Sunsim in 1999, or 2001 was the first time formal charges. And this is when he was overseas. And then in 2006, the 2 victims, alleged victims, they took a medical examination in a hospital while under protection, police protection, and the examination resulted in a finding of no traces of sexual assault. So the Korean police hospital did a subsequent check on both of the accusers and found no traces of sexual assault, right? So one thing you need to look at is these people are kind of hashing out from the past, and these ones have already been dealt with, right? And a lot of them we've looked at and said, oh, wait a second. Oh, we know these people. Or some of them have already been like found not like proven to be not worth, like the cases didn't go through because they went to the hospital, got checked twice, and both times there was no signs of like sexual assault at all, right? So if you look at those 5 waves of media coverage and how many times they never went through, you're looking at these people that are from the past, right? And that's why it's kind of all these past things, and they're able to say all the things they want, even though some of these things are proven to be false, right? So there is this very, very interesting concept that I've heard also from the past is that. The way that they portrayed it is they said that Sunsim teaches about the fall, and the fall means that we're not allowed to have sex. And the answer is that is false, right? The answer is Sunsim's not saying don't have sex. what Sunseem is saying is wait till you're married, which is a very conservative and traditional Christian point of view that even Christians, like traditional Christians, will agree with, right? He didn't say never. He just said, don't do it until you get married, right? But the way it portrays in the video is just you can never have it. And it's like, well, then why would you have married couples? And why would they have children in second gen, right? And then basically, Sunseem, this person who is an old pastor said, well, Sunseem is the perfect Adam, so you have to do it through him. So I'm like, okay. So these are a couple things that I looked at. It's like, yeah, all right. So this, doctrine-wise, you look at it, but it's building up a setup for probably the next episodes that I'll go over probably on Thursday or next week, right? So it's quite interesting because in the end, you look at this and it's going to be they're going to say what they think and they feel. Regardless, and most of the people, when they in the documentary, it's not going to tell you that, oh, they went to the hospital and they were checked and it was found to have no signs of sexual assault, right? It's not going to tell you that. But at the end of it, it just says these are true testimonies. And the answer is, that's true. They are true testimonies. That's what they testified about, right? It doesn't matter if it's true or false. It's just that's what they testified about. Right? So that's why when you look at even the court case that happened in 2008, remember, one of the people came out and said, it's untrue, it's false, I lied. And even the person who was with me, we were told to lie too. So imagine that you were looking at these people, like a lot of people are using these testimonies, but when you look, it's like, wait a second. Why would they use this testimony? That makes no sense, but it's there to create a narrative, right? And yeah, like, I find it very difficult, like captions of these, like they have the pictures or videos of Sunseem, like taking a picture with, taking a picture in swimsuits. Like there's girls there. And I don't know, for me, it just doesn't prove anything. Because I've been with Sunseem where that's happened, where we have, like, we're in American Providence and we are together and we take pictures and we want just the guys to take pictures, just the guys in Sunseem. And that's fine. Like, I just found that to be like very manipulative, to put it that way, saying, look what he does here. But I'm like, no, but he also takes pictures with just guys. So why don't you put those pictures up too? You know what I mean? And there was another point where this woman was talking about, in Women when it was like first starting, there was these containers. Like these containers you put onto boats and ships, these metal containers. And that's where people were sleeping. And they're like, oh, there's women packed in there, sleeping in such bad conditions and stuff like that too, right? And the other thing they left out was there's also men living in those containers, right? There's a side for the men and a side for the women. It's not, it just kind of making it look like it's only girls. It's all about girls. But when you look at the reality, it's like, oh, no, there were guys there too. Yeah, there are people who were working there. And it wasn't just Sunseem and the girls. It was Sunseem and the guys. Guys were there too, right? Guys were always around them also, right? And, when I looked at, there was a lot of stuff about people the cheerleaders on the sidelines. And yeah, like there's some stuff that came out where it's purely like what they're saying, and there's absolutely no proof about this, because it's like there were people, like obviously people cheering on the sidelines, and he's playing sports all day and doing this. He's really, really busy, showing people sports and stuff like that too. All right, and that's fine. But they said like after sports, Sunseem would shower with the woman, where we're like, well, most of the times, like the girls, like I'm just gonna give you my experience too, is most of the girls would be like, oh my gosh, the guys, because the biggest benefit about guys is we get to go to the sauna with him. We get to, that's a Korean cultural thing. We go and take, to the sauna together with him and stuff like too. And the girls like, oh, wow, even though the girls have, get to do other things, they get to serve him and do all the other different things like that, because they want to. But on the flip side, the guys have the other time. We play sports together with him. We shower together. And that's a totally Korean thing. Going to the sauna, guys are it's a total cultural thing. So if anyone is Korean, they know. If you've been to Korea, there are these saunas where guys are on one side, girls on the other, and stuff like that too. But then she was saying that, Sunseem would shower with the women, and then then on top of that, there's like lots of these old accusations. These are all old stuff, old accusations that came out way in the past that hasn't really fallen through, right? Like, for instance, there was this person named Huang, and she's also someone we know, but she she was the one that was said to have been kidnapped. So that's why it says kidnapped and sexually assaulted, whatever it is. But we already know it's already been disproven that she was not kidnapped. It's just, basically there was an investigative reporter that went to the police station to find out what were the people actually charged with. It wasn't kidnapping. It was simple assault, which is like grabbing someone's hand too hard. It's nothing big. But the way the news portrayed it is kidnapping, which makes, when you hear the word kidnapping, what do you think? You're going to freak out. Your parents are going to freak out. Oh my gosh. And even in this episode 1, they said kidnapped. And I was like, oh gosh. Like, they can't even report it properly. It wasn't a kidnapping, right? And that was already proven by a journalist who talked about how wrong the media was for saying it was a kidnapping. When you go to the police station, it's a simple assault, right? And yeah, it was pretty, like, the accusations were pretty wild, because one of the ones that I thought that was probably the wildest one is one of the alleged accusers, alleged victim, said Sunsim was having like sexual relations with up to 50 women a day. Like, that's a lot. You know what I mean? 51, like, it was like very, very, I was like, really? Like, we know his schedule. We know when he gets up. He goes to pray at the church. It's like, and there's not like 50 girls in the same room with him kind of thing. And it's like 50, like, are you serious? And it was quite ludicrous, because even if you spend one, like, let's just say it's 1 to 2 minutes, I don't even want to get into the numbers, but that means he's going to be spending like 2 hours every morning doing that. Really? So that's why it's kind of like 2 hours, like almost 2 hours every day from the pre-dawn. Like, she was saying like 3 a.m., but we know he's like, it's just. And the reason why this first episode I think is a little bit easier for me to debunk, because it's all the old stuff, all the old accusations. Some of the stuff has been disproven and stuff like that too, right? But like I said, it's good directing, it's good producing, because it's setting the stage for the next episodes, right? So I think it's something that we have to understand very, very well and very clearly, right? And for me, I've been in Providence since 1998, so it's been 25 years and such. But of course, I haven't been with him like all day, every day. But when I'm with him and I see what his lifestyle is like. And yeah, there's a lot of red flags, a lot of questions that came up into my head. But the biggest red flags were a lot of these things were talked about like they are truth, when already some of them are proven untrue, right? So let me give you an example here. Let me give an example when it comes to he said, she said. So this person said that Sunsim is with 50 girls per morning. Every morning is 50 girls. Every morning. Okay? And then I'll tell you, is like, hey, guess what? Well, I've been in Providence since 1998. I saw his lifestyle, and I didn't see 50 girls around him all the time. I didn't see him sleeping in a room with a lot of girls. So then the question comes to, do you believe me or do you believe the documentary? And you're like, wait a second, are you asking us to choose between you and the documentary? But that's not my point. My whole point is not to say believe in me. My point is, I can say one thing and the witness can say another thing, but who is right? Are you going to believe me just because you know me? And the answer is no. Just because you know me doesn't make me right. And just because it's on TV doesn't make it right either, right? You can't believe me just because you know me, and you can't believe the witness just because they said it on a documentary on Netflix. It's all he said, she said conjecture. That's the hard part about it. That's the hardest part. That's why when people, that's the biggest difference when people find out about, like, say, accusations through someone they're super close to. It's harder because of love, because of our love towards that person we're super close to, we are tending to more believe them, even though we don't even know if they're right or wrong, but we're basing it not on proof or evidence. We're basing it solely on our relationship. And I think that is a very bad way to do it, right? Whenever something comes out, I'll tell you right now, when I was first told about some accusations, the first thing I said is, I don't even want to know who's saying it or who it happened to, because I don't want my thoughts to be clouded by personal relationships. Please do, and I clearly said that, please do not tell me who is saying it. I don't want to know, because I want to be clear, right? I want to be absolute and say, okay, that's what it is, right? So, my point to you guys is, one of the things that makes sexual assault cases the most difficult thing, because usually it's one-on-one and no one is in there except for the two people, right? The thing that makes this a little bit more harder to believe, especially when it comes to the 50 girls, there's 50 girls. Can you name the 50? Or will any of the 50 girls come out and say, there were 50 of us in there? Sometimes up to 50 there. And that's every day, right? So a lot of it is, you're like, okay, so this is something where it's going to just be their perspective of what they're accusing of, right? Doesn't mean it's true, but if you come from someone who doesn't know anything about Providence, anything about, the church, all these other different things, it's very, very easy to be swayed. Very easy. But when I looked at this, I was like, very, very interesting. Right? And I think there was, they put some lewd videos out there too on the first video. I was like, ugh, right? Where, there was these naked girls, right? Saying something like, oh, come into the hot tub or something along that line. But it's a video, right? And it's not like a video where Sunseam is in the video. It's a video. It looks like it's portrayed as a video being sent to Sunseam and telling Sunseam, if you're tired, come with us, kind of thing. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, okay, so this is what other people have done, but what is the reaction from Sunseam's side, right? And that's something I can go into a little bit deeper on in some future ones, just to double check, triple check, are they real? And if they are real, what's the context? What's the content, right? Why was it done? What was Sunseam's reaction? These are the things that I want to look at and say, okay, I want to take a look at this too. And that's something that I have to look in more than, I have to really, really look at it. Yeah. But, that's kind of like a synopsis of, that's like the first episode. And from a production value, I'm just going to talk production value only, not truth, is it was well done, production value-wise, the type of music being used, and the way that it was edited. And I thought, it was very good in that sense. And of course, it's true. At the end, they say they're using real footage from witnesses and audio from witnesses, and that is true too. I'm not denying that also. These witnesses are, I'm not denying these witnesses that they're not the real witnesses. It is true. It's from the court trial, whatever it is, right? But it doesn't mean that it is all true. It doesn't mean it's true just because they said it, right? That's just their affidavit. And we know that in that first trial, already one person came out saying that it was completely false and they told us to say this, right? So that's something that now comes down to he said, she said, right? You can't base it on, because it's a documentary, you can't base it on this or that. And one thing you have to do is we have to really put on our thinking caps, our discerning skills, and realize it in a much deeper way, right? And look at it much better and have that very reasonable and sane mind. And that's why, like I said, I'm looking at it purely from a legal mindset. Does it prove anything? Does it show anything? The answer is no. Was any of this evidence used for past trials? Most of it wasn't. If it was that big and that crazy, then why would it be used in the other trial? And the answer is it wasn't, right? So that's something that we have to look at and say, this is quite interesting. We have to look at it more deeply. But that's kind of my thoughts on that first episode. It wasn't anything that we didn't know about. Some of the things was false, right? And it was just shown in a way it should have been shown. But ultimately, I looked at it and was like, okay. It's a good set. Like, as someone who's a lecturer, I thought it was a good setup to the next episode. So I kind of like, so then it's just going to get worse and worse from episode 2 to 3. So I'm looking forward to, not looking forward to like in a good way, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they built this documentary also. All right. So there it is, guys. That is the end of today's Provi in the Media. Hope you guys really enjoyed, or I'm not sure how you could say it, but was able to get a better idea of that first episode. And this is my personal opinion, my personal thoughts, and I hope it's something that you guys, those of you guys may not understand or know it, will say like, okay, so this is what kind of came out during that first episode. I see. All right, got it. All right. So there it is. That's Provi the Media. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Which means have an amazing and awesome and great day today, right? And, let's continue to fight the good fight and stand firm until the end, all right? So everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,